Guillen.
Chair recognizes Representative Guillen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, at all of y'all's town hall meetings and every time you all go to the grocery store, I know what y'all hear. Y'all hear from folks in your district that y'all need to help secure the border. Since 2007, this body has invested in border security to some degree. But last year, the governor and state leaders initiated something that was called Operation Strong Safety down on the border. We call it the Surge. And that operation is primarily focused in two counties, Starr County, which is my home county, and Hidalgo County, which is my neighboring county. This year, as a result of that, this operation, what it did was that it took highway troopers from your communities and it sent them down to these two counties on a rotation basis. That operation is still going on today. The El Paso Times this past weekend published an article based on some open records requests at DPS. They came up with an analysis of citations that have been given by county throughout the state. They took the information between 2012 and 2014 by county throughout the state, and they found that in most counties in the state, in fact, there was a decrease in citations between 2012 and 2014. In fact, in some counties in you all's districts, they went down in citations between 2012 and 2014 by as much as 50%. But in my home county, they went up by 233%. Citations in my home county between 2012 and 2014 have gone up by 233%. Now, this appropriations bill that we're voting on...
Mr. Schaefer, Whitmer.
Will the gentleman yield for a question?
Guillen, do you yield?
Yes.
Chairman yields.
Representative Guillen, this increase in common traffic citations that you refer to, couldn't someone reasonably argue that the Texas National Guard would be an alternative to a lot of troopers on the streets?
Certainly.
And that's because the Texas National Guard is not out there writing tickets or arresting people, but they're stationed actually at the river observing illegal crossings at the river.
That's right. That's right. But that's not the focus of what we're funding in this appropriations bill. What we're funding in this appropriations bill, and if y'all look under the Department of Public Safety, there's Goal B, which says Secure Border Region. And in that goal, that's where we've got the money that's going to border security.
But I guess my point is just to focus on your concern about DPS troopers just being in the neighborhoods, in the community, and writing traffic tickets. Is that the concern that you're raising?
Oh, certainly, certainly. Let me be clear. I'm fully in favor of securing the border, just as you all are. I want to secure the border. I understand that. I want to fund it. I think the money in here is good. I question the strategy, though. If we want to secure the border, if we really want to secure the border, then let's put our money towards something that'll send folks down to the actual border, the Rio Grande River, the border that separates the two countries, not my general community, not the highway that takes me to work, takes families in my community to school. Let's not send your DPS troopers from your community down to my community on traffic duty. That's not border security. That's not the border security that the folks that you've talked to in your town hall meetings, that the folks that you talk to in your communities, that's not the border security that they're talking about. They're not talking about sending your troopers down to my community on traffic duty. That's not what they're.
Mr. Turner, for what purpose?
Representative Guillen, yield for a couple
Again, do
questions.
you yield?
Yes.
Chairman yields.
Thank you, Representative. So reading your amendment, you're in no way decreasing funding for border security. You're simply saying that if we're going to spend tens of millions of dollars on the border, it needs to go to border security, not traffic enforcement. Is that right?
That's right. Let's put it on, let's let them spend it however they want to spend it. They can spend it on criminal interdiction operations, they can spend it on intelligence operations, they can spend it on organized crime operations, they can spend it on counterterrorism operations, on special investigation operations, on any other law enforcement operations or services. Spend it on anything you think will help secure the border except traffic duty.
Representative,
Traffic duty doesn't secure the
when
border.
the surge was announced, did anyone who was proposing the surge suggest that one of the desired outcomes was to issue more speeding tickets or other traffic citations?
Nobody suggested that, but that's been the sole mission of the current surge.
But clearly the evidence shows that has been the case.
It was
Is that
published
right?
in the El Paso Times this past weekend. Citations in my county have gone up 233%, while citations in the rest of the counties in the state have gone down as much as 50%.
Including in my area. I think you have a good amendment, Representative.
Members, let me say once again, the appropriations bill that we're about to vote on not only continues to fund the exact same operation that we've had for this past year, but it also funds a new permanent strategy. So in addition to what we've had for this past year, in addition to that, this appropriations bill funds a new strategy. And it says we're going to hire 300 new highway troopers, permanent positions right there. So what's going to happen is not only do we have the surge that we've had for the last year, but then we're also going to have 300 new troopers. So we're going to have double
Representative,
what
we
we've
will
had.
raise a point of order. Gentleman's time expired. Point of order is well taken and sustained.
I recognize Representative Turner.
And I certainly do understand Representative Guillen's position. Let me just put it this way. This is certainly the budgetary process. People wanted us to fund 300 troopers. We funded 300 troopers. People wanted us to make sure that they were working 10 hours a day along the border. We funded that. People wanted to make sure that they had the support personnel. We funded that. With regards to the policy, and I'm not here to say yay or nay to what Representative Guillen was speaking to, but certainly there was an opportunity to address that in Speaker Bonin's bill on House Bill 11 that specifically dealt with the policy. You know, for the budgetary side, we provided the appropriations. I understand his concerns, but I don't think this is the proper vehicle to address that. I think that's House Bill 11, and hopefully others will address that in House Bill 11. Having said that, I move the table.
I recognize Representative Guillen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, let me finish what I was saying. Not only in this appropriations bill, not only are we going to have the same surge that we've had for the last year, we're also going to have a whole other operation, which is 300, up to 300, at least 250 new full-time highway troopers on traffic duty full-time on the border. So not only will we have the surge, the 233% increase in citations in my county, we're going to have another one on top of that. So if you double that number, that means over the next 2 years under this bill, my community is going to have a 466% increase in citations. Because that's what highway troopers do for a living. They're on traffic duty. Let me be clear. In this amendment, we're not saying we're moving money anywhere. We're not cutting money. We're saying let's secure the border. Fully, let's do it. Let's secure the border. Let's hire the people we need to hire. Hire as many people we can hire with the money that you're giving them. Let's just not send them down there for traffic duty. Let's not send them down there for traffic duty, because the folks who want you to help secure the border, they didn't mean Send a bunch of people down there on traffic duty. They meant send folks down there to the border, the Rio Grande River border, the border that separates the two countries, where the drugs are coming across. That's the border that they want you to secure. And this amendment achieves that. I ask you to please help me pass this amendment, do the right thing with border security. I think you're doing a noble thing by funding it, but we've got to get it right. We've got to get it right. Everybody thinks that border security means the whole border. Most of this money, at least for the last year, the whole operation was in Starr County and part of Hidalgo County. The whole operation. They focused strictly on there. My community is frightened to know and to imagine that not only are we going to get that for the next 2 years, the 233% increase in citations, not only are we getting that, but we're getting it doubled. Because we've got the surge funded in here in Goal B, in B1-4. Then we also have B1-5 in addition to hire a whole new set of full-time troopers, and we've got them both going on at the same time. For that, for us, that means double the number of citations. And we're frightened because we can't get to school, we can't get to work. And a friend of mine, and I said it to the newspaper this last weekend, a friend of mine came from McAllen. It's a 45-minute drive one night after dinner. His headlight was out. His headlight was out, and he didn't figure that out until all the stores were closed. It took him hours, a 45-minute drive took him hours to get home because they stopped him every mile or two. And he kept on telling them, hey guys, man, if I could fix it right now, I'd fix it. That's not the border security we should be paying for, man. Remember, the folks that live on the border, us, we're on the same team. We don't need to bother us. We don't need to bother ourselves. Border security is to secure the real border. Stop the drugs and the human trafficking and all the bad stuff coming off the border. If you want to put them on the river, let's put them on the river. This amendment says do whatever you want, just not traffic duty. And I ask you to stick with me on the motion to table, vote against the motion to table.
Mr. Guillen sends up an amendment. Representative Turner moves to table. This is on the motion to table. Clerk, ring the bell. Have all voted? Have all members voted? Show Mr. Ferrillo voting aye. Show Ms. Giddings voting no. Have all voted? Being 94 ayes and 50 nays, motion to table prevails. Following amendment, the clerk read the amendment.